Hello everyone and welcome to my Penny Dreadful Season 42 introductory video. This video will quite literally be a PowerPoint presentation, about 15 slides. So the season is kind of already somewhat old, like the season started like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Usually I do these presentations shortly after rotation, so shortly after the season begins. But unfortunately I fell ill right after rotation, so my voice was unusable and I couldn't record. But now I'm finally doing it, and in this video we will talk about a lot of things like the cards that are leaving the format, so the cards that were legal in Season 41 but are not legal anymore. We will talk about a lot of new cards, both cards from Strixhaven, or like Secrets of Strixhaven, as well as other cards that became legal for the first time. But we'll also talk about a lot of other things. This video will be quite a bit longer than the normal presentation since I had a lot of time to prepare it. So yeah. Also, I think this season is great. It's a great entry point for Penny Dreadful. There's a lot of stuff that is possible and there's nothing super oppressive. So when I made this slide, I wrote peak PD or Nadu slop, but surely it is peak PD. Because Nadu is there, but it's not oppressive as people thought. So yeah, also, obviously everything is updated already, so Scryfall is totally usable for Penny Dreadful Season 42. You can also use the website as usual. PDBot works, but has some problems with Spider-Man cards and like the flip cards and stuff like that, but everything works in general. And also, if you're new to Penny Dreadful, then I have one slide for you that is going to be explaining the format. For everyone else, you can skip this slide with the timestamps in the description or with the chapters on YouTube. So yeah, let's begin with that. So what is Penny Dreadful? The basic idea of it is that only the very, very cheapest cards that are available on Card Hoarder or on Magic Online storefronts are available to play. So it used to be that only cards that cost that cost 0.01 ticks were legal. At some point this was changed to 0.02 ticks, and it might be possible to change that in the future as well. But basically what you need to know is only the very, very cheapest cards available are legal. There are some specifics with rotation and how it works, but we'll get into that later or at some point in the future. So it is a 60 cards, 1 versus 1 format. You can of course play your 200 plus cards Battle of Wits pile, but most decks will be playing 60 cards, maybe 80 cards if, well, okay, Yorion isn't legal this season, but 60 cards. Also, it's 1 versus 1, so no, it's not Commander, it's not, I don't know, anything like that. It's not Two-Headed Giant. Although Two-Headed Giant Penny Dreadful would be hella sick, but yeah. Also, very important, it's exclusively played on Magic Online, so in theory you could play it on like in paper or like on Cockatrice or something like that. It's not on Magic Arena, because a lot of cards that are legal here would be missing there, and also like, the whole point of the format is that it's based on Magic Online prices, so there isn't really point in playing it on any other way. Another important point is frequent and radical rotation. So rotations happen like quarterly, but we do have supplemental rotations since we don't have just 4 sets each year, but we have like 7 sets in a year. So and Card Hoarder sponsors 4 kickoffs and 4 PD 500s. We will get into that later, what that is. So basically, there are rotations and a lot of stuff changes during rotation. A lot of cards rotate in and out, and that's about like what this video will be mostly about for season 42. And yeah, these rotations change everything. Your deck might be not legal anymore. Another deck might be just totally new and be possible just because of new cards. And that's kind of what makes this format fun as well. We have a card pool of nearly 1,500 cards, well, 15,000 cards. I think it's like 14,800 something right now. The number of cards changes around all the time, or like with every rotation. But as you can imagine, that's a very large number of cards, so a lot of stuff is possible. The main way to play Penny Dreadful is with a league. So you can enter a league in the like freeform best of 3 room it is played. but you can sign up on the website, pennyredfulmagic.com, and there you can sign up for the league. You will play 5 matches against random opponents that you have to find yourself in the freeform best of 3 room. And yeah, then at the end of each season, there will be prizes for like the top 8 with the most points or something like that. Yeah. And there's also free tournaments. These are free to enter, but they have prizes in form of cardboard or credit. So there's only really plus to be made. These are great, and you can enter them for free. I usually join the ones on Saturday and Sunday, both Sunday morning and Sunday evening. There's one tournament, and on Saturday evening. But there's also ones that are for like American people, or like American time zones, during the normal week, like from Monday to Friday. Yeah, they are sponsored by Card Holder. You will get store credit that you can use on cards or other stuff. And also very important, there's a kickoff and the PD 500. These are big tournaments at the beginning and the end of the season. The kickoff is prizes up until the 32nd place, so you have very good chances of getting at least one or a few more ticks. And the PD 500 is a big end of season tournament. It's the biggest tournament of the season. There's 500 ticks, which is roughly equivalent to 500 euros or dollars or whatever. And so a lot of prizes up until the 16th place, I think. And yeah, these are pretty competitive. So yeah, you should do your best in those. And those are like the big tournaments that you can prepare for. And also, it's literally the cheapest format available on Magic Online. There is no cheaper format. Even Pauper has like Red Elemental Blast that costs like 10 euros per copy. And in this format, everything costs 0.02 ticks, usually. Sometimes there's exceptions to this, like when a card spikes in price. Like right now, Crashing Footfalls is kind of more expensive, but it's legal in Penny Dreadful. But it's still the cheapest format available, and there's like loan accounts available on Card Holder, so you can sign up for like a loaner account, and you will get 5 ticks worth of like loaning cards all the time. And that's literally free. You don't have to pay a penny for it. And then you can buy like multiple decks, or like you can loan multiple decks to play, and it's great. Also, very important for me personally, it's a brewer's paradise. There's lots of powerful cards available, but also lots of cool cards, and nothing is so strong that it dominates the whole thing. So, and also people are just kind of playing whatever they want, and most people don't play the most broken combos in leagues. So yeah, it's a great place to brew decks and try out new stuff. All right, so now let's talk about the last season, season 41. I won't make this too long, but I kind of want to give an overview of what was legal and what was played. So interestingly enough, the most played deck by far was Goblins. That deck won the kickoff, and from there it really gained traction. It was a pretty strong deck, mainly fueled by the Goblin Curse Tosser or whatever. Actually, I don't know the exact name, but basically, whenever one of the goblins dies, you ping your opponent. It had Goblin Bombardment and a lot of good goblins. Very aggressive deck. Was able to punish slower decks, and yeah, I don't know if it was the strongest deck. It has a win rate of 53%, which isn't too much. But yeah, it was certainly popular. Then Azorius Control, that was mostly popular in the early season. Kind of fell off, I guess. We had the Wrath that is uncounterable. That's I forgot the name of. But yeah, also a lot of other tools, but it wasn't really good against stuff like goblins, so yeah. And then the rest is just like the regular stuff like Oath of Blink, Flare Deck Wins, Equipment Aggro. Those are just mainstays at this point. Stuff that people play when there's nothing exciting to play otherwise. Mono Blue Tempo as well, was Legends, Azorius Tempo. Like nothing of these are like super innovative. I guess the only noteworthy thing is like Painted Bellower, which was new this season. Also, I think it's like the highest win rate on this whole slide. That was a new deck invented by Violet Avi, I think. It was based around like getting a painter into play and naming blue, and then playing the Bellower and fetching like phantasmal images to copy the Bellower, and then you make, with the last one you grab a haste enabler and just overrun your opponent. That was a pretty cool deck, and I think it was only one of the few like new inventions that actually managed to break through. So I think that last season was kind of boring, but I think the new season is actually really insane. It's going to be really cool, and let's talk about that. So first, let's look at what's leaving the format. I've compiled a list of like the top 20 cards that are leaving the format that were played the most. We lose a lot of counter spells like Mana Leak, Cryptic Command, and Negate. Well, for Negate we have Brush Off to replace this kind of, but still we're losing a lot of blue cards, also Sleight of Hand, Vanillion Click, Heartbreak Horror, Waterbending Scroll, which was really strong. Also, crazily enough, Burst Lightning is leaving. We've had this for like a lot of seasons, but for some reason it's leaving. We still have Shock and other options to replace it, but still crazy that we don't have Burst Lightning anymore. Yeah, Supreme Verdict, that's the name of it, also leaving. And then just other miscellaneous stuff like Condemn, Cruel Claws Heist, Bone Crusher Giant, which we had for the first time. Lotus Bloom, so X is gonna take a hit. The Fairy Hero of the Dominaria, probably the best Planeswalker we've ever had. That's leaving. We don't have Yorion anymore, which is kind of weird as well, because it's the only companion that is missing. But yeah, no more 80 card stacks. And some goblins are leaving as well, so goblins would take a big hit as well. But now let's get into the actual interesting stuff, like the cards that are new and that will be playable again. So we'll start with the returning cards. The most important one, probably Dark Ritual. Whenever this is legal, it's a big player in the meta. You can do crazy combos with it, like Necrotic Ooze. You can do Reanimator stuff with it. What I've been doing in the first few weeks was I actually won tournaments with both Hidetsugu and Kairi combo, also known as H and K, as well as like Mono Black Excruciator, which also played like Crick and like Death Shadow and stuff. So you can do some crazy cool stuff with Dark Ritual. I don't think anything is going to be super broken, so it's not going to be super annoying, but definitely a potent card. We also got the Rest back and Spell Pierce, just tools to know about and to put into your decks. Very useful. Persist is probably the best reanimation spell we have. Of course, it can't hit like Iona or something, but you can still get like Seraph Emissary, you can get Vaultborn Tyrant, and other cool stuff. You can do it turn 1 sometimes even with Dark Ritual. So yeah, very strong card that you can do a lot of cool stuff with, but also just very strong stuff. Also, we got Field of the Dead, a card that is like $30 in paper, but not really used on Magic Online. You can fetch this with like Rite of the Reliquary or with Archdruid's Charm. So you can fetch this with some things. Sadly, I don't think this format is so slow that you can afford to play slow like different lands and then on turn 5 or something you start making zombies. I don't think that's really going to be viable, but you can do it. You can try it out. Maybe I'm wrong. Then very important also Hex Parasite. This has two main uses. The first use is Nadu. You can pay 2 life to get a card that can either go into play if it's a land or go into hand if it's something else. But also Death Shadow is really good with Hex Parasite because it allows you to drain your life by amounts of 2 as much as you want. So turn 1 Hex Parasite can into turn 2 Death Shadow is potentially win on turn 3. But also it can commit crimes. It can remove counters of Invasion of Ikoria, which is like the tutor invasion. So yeah, Hex Parasite always a strong card right now with Nadu and Death Shadow. Oh yeah, and also I mentioned already, but we got Death Shadow back, really exciting. Hasn't done too much stuff in the first few weeks, but yeah, you can brew around it. You can play life lost decks, and there's stuff to be done with it. Like you can fling it, you can like use Varolds. So yeah. Then we have some other miscellaneous tools like Sickening Shoal and Eladamri's Call, some removal and a tutor. Eladamri's Call also notable for Nadu decks perhaps. Mizzix's Mastery is always a cool card to have. You can like copy a Cruel Ultimatum or something like that. or like some other big instant sorceries. We also have, I will show it in some of the next slides, but we have like a guy, we have a creature that is like 3 mana and it's red, and it has the prepared thing from Strixhaven where you can pay 3 and you get 5 mana out of it. And I think that's pretty good with Mystic's Mastery. Obviously, you need some spell in the graveyard, but we have ways to ramp into it, into the overload mode, but also into other stuff. Yeah, kind of went on a tangent there. Also very notable, Twin is back. Basically every version of Twin that you could wish for is back. You can do Kiki-Jiki Pestamite, you can do Splinter Twin Pestamite, you can do Glamourmite Splinter Twin. So that's like the fake Pestamite that's a bit worse. So Twin also heavily played in the first few weeks. And yeah, it's back. And you can tutor for parts of it with Imperial Recruiter. You can tutor for Kiki-Jiki or Pestamite or something. I don't think that was really being done much so far, but it's possible. And I guess the last card on this slide that I haven't talked about is Fate Stitcher. I think I just placed this there because I need to fill the slide with something. But it's good in like Jeskai Ascendancy or something, but yeah, not super relevant. But yeah, also now let's get into the most important part, the new cards. And we will start with the newest of the new, with the cards from Strixhaven, or like Secrets of Strixhaven, but I'm gonna call it Strixhaven for the rest of the video, I think. So we have a lot of cool stuff. With the prepared mechanic. So basically when you play it and it becomes prepared somehow, you get to cast an instant or sorcery later, whenever you want. And sometimes they get to be re-prepared. So probably the strongest one is Vastland Scavenger. On baseline, it's a 3 mana 4/4 Death Touch, which is already good for like Fanatic of Ronus and stuff. Or like Outcast or Trailblazer or Timur Battlecry or something. But also you can pay 5 mana at instant speed to mill 7 and put a creature from among them onto the battlefield. So really strong reanimation kind of thing in green. Yeah, very, very strong. Also Hardened Academic, a bit of a more special card. You can use it as a discard outlet, and whenever something leaves your grave, you can put a counter or something. Also it's hasty and flying, so I haven't really found a use for it yet, but I think Hardened Academic surely has a place somewhere. Maybe in combination with Practiced Offense, a really strong card, because like even on baseline it's 3 mana, put a counter on everything, and give something double strike mostly, or lifelink if you're in a dire situation. But then you can just play it again for 2 mana later, or on the same turn if you have 5 mana. And also it's just great to discard for value. So I also think this hasn't seen too much play yet, but you can be quite aggressive with it. You can have some turn 3 is unlikely, but turn 4 wins with it. Yeah. Fix What's Broken, another reanimation card. This one you have to pay life for, and you have to build your deck in a specific way where everything costs the same amount. I've tried to make this work. I haven't succeeded yet, but I also think this has a lot of potential. Jatsi, Steward of Fate, is mostly just a variation of like the Kiora or Master of something. I don't recall its name, but it's a 3 mana creature that draws 2 and discards 2, but it has the added value of later being able to cast an X spell and make some tokens. I have played this in like Jeskai Omniscience, because spoiler, we have Omniscience this season. But other people have played it in other decks, I think, so yeah. Then Blazing Fire Singer, this is Seething Song on a stick. It's very good with Flare of Duplication, because then you can, like turn 3, Blazing Fire Singer, turn 4, activate Seething Song, with that on the stack, sack the Blazing Fire Singer to copy the Seething Song, and then you have 10 mana, plus 1 land still open most likely, so potentially 11 mana on turn 4. That is potentially really strong. Muse Seeker hasn't really seen much play either, but I think this is great, or like pretty interesting in decks that want to loot a lot, like Madness kind of decks, or also Omniscience. Yeah, also just a tool that you kind of want to know about. Maybe it will be good in something somewhere. Then one card that I think is really interesting, but I also don't really know where to use yet, is Page Loose Leaf. Basically, it's a mana dork that only produces colorless but costs 2. But if you have another copy of it in your hand, you can discard it to tutor, or like to get the first instant or sorcery from your deck. And basically, if you only have one instant or sorcery, or like 4 of one card, then you can kind of use it as a tutor. So I don't know where you would use this. I've tried to use it in like with Dark Ritual and other rituals, so that you can, and then like cycle and do like a Cycle Storm kind of impression, where you play like Return from the Grave or whatever it's called, to get all cards that you discarded this turn back to your hand. But yeah, I don't really know where this will end up, but it's surely interesting, right? Then Harmonized Trio, Brainstorm on a stick. Looks really exciting, but also I haven't really been able to make this work at all. But you can tap like Kona, and then you can bring in Omniscience. But yeah, you need another creature for that as well. So yeah, to be seen whether that's something you want to do. Berta, also pretty interesting. Very much a limited bomb. In Constructed, it's not so strong, I guess. But you can, whenever you place counters on it, you make mana, and you can make fractals with it. It goes kind of infinite with Intruder Alarm. But yeah, what doesn't, right? So I haven't put with this yet, but I think it also has potential. And then Planar Engineering, just a strong like ramp and landfall card. You sack 2 lands, get 4 basics. Pretty basic, but has some potential for in landfall strategies. And lastly, Pursue the Past. Another discard outlet, also great with flashback. It only costs 4, which can actually come up sometimes. And then it's just a better kind of thrill of discovery kind of effect. So now let's look at the cards that are from older sets, but that are legal for the first time. For me, the most important card, or the most exciting cards, were Omniscience and Run of the Multiverse. I think it's so crazy that we have these mythics. Omniscience is literally still being played in Standard, and also in like Legacy, I think. You can cheat it in with some cards, like Collector's Cage, which is 4 cards to the right here, but also just with Kona, or with Abuelo's Awakening, which we've had for a few seasons. So you can discard Omniscience, then Abuelo's on like turn 4, and you have a turn 4 on Omniscience. And then you can play like Fey of Wishes to get something from your sideboard, or maybe like the Invasion of whatever it's called, the one that they also played in Standard, which like grabs the instant sorcery from your sideboard or your deck, and then you can go infinite with that. So I think it's really exciting. I haven't made like a turn 1 deck with it yet. A tier 1 deck, sorry. It's still kind of slow. We don't have a way to like get it from the library consistently. So you kind of need to just hope that you draw it, or you could go like black with Unmarked Grave, but that's also kind of janky. But yeah, also its smaller brother is One with the Multiverse. You can only play 1 card for each turn with it, but you can place the cards from the top of your library. Sometimes I think these two will go hand in hand, and sometimes you will just play Omniscience and try to go infinite. But yeah, also a good card to cheat in. Also exciting that we have it, Crashing Footfalls. Unfortunately, this card kind of spiked in price because of the Violent Outburst unbanning. But yeah, you can cascade into it with like Shardist Agent, which is the only good 3-mana cascader that we have. You can also try to like Electro Balance it, Electro Dominance it, or like play As Foretold or something. So there's options for it. People have tried it. Nothing really exciting came out of it yet, but certainly has potential, right? Then we have Catharsis. I don't think this card is too great outside of one situation, but it's really good there, which is specifically with Collector's Cage, because you can do the thing where you do turn 2 Collector's Cage, turn 3 Catharsis, and with Catharsis still on the board, but the 2 tokens already created, you can Collector's Cage onto one of the 1/1s, and then you can cast a card for free that you exiled with Hideaway, which can be Omniscience. So you can go infinite on turn 3 if it all lines up. And also just 2 mana to make 2 tokens is fine. 2 mana to give everything haste is kind of not so good, but can come up in some situations. And it costs 6, so you can play it in like a Cascade deck or something. I don't think too many other people have played it so far, but also this has a lot of potential with the Collector's Cage, so yeah. We also have Sapling Nursery from Lorwyn. This is mainly pretty good with Yavimaya, Cradle of something, that we also have for the first time, and that card says everything is a forest, every land, and then Sapling Nursery just gets reduced by a lot. Yeah, just good landfall card. We also have Fabled Passage again, so you can play it with that. Yeah, the next card is Kaito Shizuki. I think this is pretty cool, especially since you can play it in like a polymorph plus persist deck, because it both creates a token and draws a card, discards a card. So yeah, pretty cool. It gets phased out at the end of turn, so you're pretty much always guaranteed to get 2 activations out of it. And then we also have Enduring Innocence. I think this is actually still played in Pioneer and like Collected Company decks. But yeah, this is pretty cool in like creature-based white decks. It's kind of unkillable because it comes back. So good card advantage engine. Should be played in mid-range most likely, and mid-range white decks are not really a thing right now, but you can brew with it, and maybe there comes a time when it's good with like Catharsis or something. I don't know, there's probably some possibilities. Then one card that a lot of people are excited about is also Meek Attack. You can sneak in like Agent of Treachery or like Kikijiki, and you can also do like play this turn 3 and then play like the Recruiter and tutor for Kikijiki, then sneak in Kikijiki, copy the Recruiter, tutor for like Pestomite, and then you go infinite. It costs a lot of mana, obviously, but it's a possibility. And then Elish Neon, it's kind of crazy that we have this as well. Denies your opponent ETBs, you get your ETBs twice. Some people played this already with like Golos in a kind of ramp shell. Seems really slow to me, but also pretty cool. Then even more new cards. The Last Ride, basically Death Shadow Part 2. It's legendary though, so you probably only want to play 1 in your deck, maybe 2. It has the additional activated ability, but you have to crew it, so I probably don't really want to play some Death Shadow decks, or maybe like 1 copy. But yeah, it's possible to have this in your deck. Then Airbend's Ascension, kind of cool as well. You can airbend something for 2 mana, and if you play a lot of creatures, you get to eventually have I don't know what's called, like there's a mirror card that does this for like 5 mana, and you can get it for 2 mana, so 2 mana, end of turn, blink something each turn, pretty strong. Devastating Onslaught, I don't think anyone has played this so far actually, maybe I have, I don't know, I don't really recall, but I think this is mainly good for Battlecry decks, because then it gets reduced by a lot with Timur Battlecry, and then you can make a lot of tokens of something and they have haste, so you can immediately win the game. Also, I'll skip ahead a bit. Michelangelo's League also good in Battlecry decks, because you can grab like Outcaster, Trailblazer, and Battlecry, and then they draw cards and reduce everything. But potentially also good in like Angels or whatever. But yeah, let's get back to the cards that came before it. So Inti, also really strong aggro card. Very good with Lalia in specific. Whenever you discard a card, you exile 1, so you can also play it in like Madness decks or like decks that discard a lot. But also just a good aggro card in general. Teferi, Master of Time, kind of weird planeswalker. You can activate him every single turn, like even on your opponent's turns, but he doesn't really give you card advantage or removal. So yeah, I don't really know what to do with this, but it looks exciting. Then a card that a lot of people have played already is Isochron Scepter. This is mainly played with Silence and Angel Song. So Silence does obviously deny your opponent the possibility to play spells. So you activate the Scepter on their turn, every single turn, and then they basically can't play at sorcery speed. And Angel Song, I think that's what it's called. Basically just a fog effect. So if your opponent only has creatures and wants to attack and win that way, then they can't win anymore, because you activate it for 2 mana each turn and fog them. But you can also do other cool stuff with it. You can go infinite with Paradox Engine sometimes, if you have like a mana rock. And potentially there's other stuff to be done with it. So yeah, pretty cool card. United Battlefront also just basically basically kind of like Miscellaneous League in that it's like a collected company variant. This one grabs non-creature, non-land cards. So I think some people played with in like mono white with all the like 3 mana Oblivion Rings and Planeswalkers and whatever we have. Potentially can grab like 6 mana worth of stuff, which is pretty good. But obviously you have to wildly build your deck around it. So I don't know if that's going to be worth it. Then Marang River Regent. This used to be played in Standard Omniscience, but also it's just generally a solid card. 4 mana, draw 3, discard 1, or 6 mana, bounce 2 things. So yeah, good in Omniscience, but also good in like other discard focused decks, I guess. And then the last card on the slide is Arcane Proxy. You can recast Crashing Footfalls with this, but you can also just play it to like buy back some 1 or 2 manas instant sorcery. Profane Tutor also works. Yeah. And the last slide of new cards. These are like the least relevant ones, I guess, although there's some really good cards here as well. Paradox Engine, as I said, can go infinite with a lot of things. Mainly is the Scepter, but also if you have a bunch of mana rocks, then you can kind of store them off if you want. Yeah, I couldn't really make this work in a good way yet, but I will try out some more stuff with it. Maybe with like actual mana dorks. Yeah, to be seen. Then card draw complete. You can cheat this in with Forge Anew or the Raton card that I used to play sometimes. Really, basically the best equipment that we ever had, most likely, that you can, if you cheat it in. Yeah, basically in everything that has to do with it is indestructible. Also has haste, so really strong, but you need to cheat it in, so you don't want to cast this for 7 mana. Although one card that could help you cast it is Ashling Rekindled. Funnily enough, I have actually put this into like basically all my decks so far because I think this card is really strong. Baseline, it's a 1/3 that discards a card and draws a card, but also you can flip it every single turn to make 2 mana or to discard a card and draw a card again. So I think this card is really strong. It being legendary is kind of a downer, but you can just like discard additional copies. Then Thought Monitor, just basic affinity card, really good, one of the best. Yeah, nothing to say about it much. We have 12 artifacts lands this season actually, or like 3, but you can play a total of 12 with like the Treasure Vault, then the colorless like Sanctum or whatever it's called, the thing that is indestructible and just makes. Then we also have some control cards like Memory Deluge, which is a very good card adventure spell. Terrible with Omniscience though, but yeah, probably get played in every single blue control deck. Yeah, we also have Glarp. Glarp is kind of like, it's a 3-color Legends, and those usually don't see play, but you can play a pretty interesting control game plan with it, where you play like the free spells or like cards that get cheaper if you pay less for it, like the, oh man, I forgot all these card names. Like the thing that exiles for 4 mana, but you can pay 2 for it, but then your opponent draws a card. So there's some options with this. Also just very strong card to have, like 3 mana, 2/4 Death Touch, can tap to survey 2, you can play some stuff from the top, even if it's just lands. So yeah, lots of potential there, but pretty narrow in its application, because you basically have to play control with it, I think. Unlike Anointed Peacekeeper, this is mainly just a mono-white humans cards, so basically the opposite of like LARP control. But yeah, people have played this against me, and it kind of hoses combo decks and decks that need specific cards. But you do get to look at your opponent's hand, so you can just choose whatever they're going to play, and it costs 2 more. Yeah, can be annoying, but also can be removed somewhat cheaply. And then the last three new cards is, the first one is Nissa, basically Lotus Cobra 2, but when you have your second land enter each turn, you get an elf or elemental from your deck for free. Obviously this will get additional copies of Nissa, so you maybe not always want to play 4 copies of Nissa. But yeah, Lotus Cobra is a strong card, and this is probably a strong card too. Then Peach of the Schism used to be played in Standard in like Golgari. In Penny Dreadful, it's probably just played in like mono black so that you can Dark Ritual out turn 1. Maybe in more defensive decks, I don't really know. It's a mid-range card. And then the last new card of today is Scourge of the Skyclaves. Another card that is pretty good with the Shadow. You do have to have your opponent lose life as well, but the Shadow decks are traditionally, in Penny Dreadful, mostly like aggressive decks. So yeah, this is another card for those kind of decks. And now we're done with the new cards. A lot of stuff that you can brew around, but obviously I didn't include every single card that is new because there's way too many cards of that kind. But I've compiled a list of other like random sideboard cards and stuff that you should probably know about because it can be useful. These are some of the most played new cards, but they are just not that exciting. Like Rest in Peace, basically a sideboard card for against if graveyard decks are very popular. We have two new good dorks, like Ignoble Hierarch and Blighted Halfling. And we also still have Birds of Paradise, of course. So you can play 12 dorks if you want. You can mix and match these like you want. Sanctifier in deck. I don't like this card because I play a lot of black and red graveyard decks, but it's really good. It's also a human, so you can play it in mono white humans. Then Brush Off is basically negate. And then we have some other stuff like Quantix Charm, which is played in most Nado decks. Vibrant Outburst is played in most Twin decks. Path of Peril is kind of like a good cheap sweeper for black decks. And Tablet of Discovery is very exciting, but hasn't really found a home yet. Although I am currently testing out one deck with it. Yeah, it's played in like standard 4-color control. Because like Tablet of Discovery, just adding 2 mana each turn and also drawing you a card kind of is really potent, but we don't really have a good home for it in Penny Dreadful as we don't really have like pure control decks right now. But yeah. Also, End of the Hunt is getting played a bit in like all black decks as a sideboard piece. And yeah, that's all the new cards for today. We will continue with the lands. And those are actually kind of exciting as well because we have 7 chalk lands, which is really crazy. We are missing 3, Sacred Foundry, Watery Grave, and Steam Vents. But still, 7 chalk lands. We have all of the green ones, so green decks are eating good. But also because of the other lands that we have. We only have 6 pain lands for some reason. I guess Pre-Modern took some of those. But we also have 9 fast lands, so mana is looking really slick this season. Do note that we still have Price of Progress, so if you play too many non-basics, then red deck wins will kill you with Price of Progress. But yeah, if you want to play 4-color, then I guess now is a better chance than ever. We have slow lands, 8 of those. They got reprinted in Secret of Strixhaven. We got all of those ones and some others. We have 3 Verges for the first time ever. We never had a Verges so far, but I guess now we do. We have 3 green ones actually. And we have 1 Pathway, which is like the blue-green one. And yeah, then there's 1 more slide with noteworthy lands. These are just utility lands. I won't go over them one by one. Yavimaya is noteworthy because it combos with like the Affinity for Forest cards that I showed earlier, the Nursery. And also Valakut is also notable because you can like ramp into it and kind of do Valakut mountain stuff. We don't have Scape Shift, unfortunately. We had it last season, but not anymore. Yeah. And I guess I also want to note that Dwarven Mine can combo with Transmogrify. So you can like fetch it with one of the slow fetch lands on turn 3 or turn 4, then go Transmogrify and get like an Iona or something. Yeah, you can do that if you want. And then the last real slide of the presentation is going to be a short look at what's been played so far. So don't get fooled by the fact that Nadu is the most played deck. It doesn't have the highest win rate, and there's a lot of people playing other stuff as well. 5% is not a lot of meta share, especially after like only 4 weeks. And like it's definitely beatable. It's strong for sure. But you can beat it with a lot of stuff. You can play Wrath, you can play single target removal, you can just combo faster. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff to be done other than Nadu as well. Twin can be done, as I said already. Wizards have been played with the new Wizards cards, like the Mana Sculpt and others. You can play Omniscience, Crushing Footfalls. You can play Dredge, Goblins, Necrotic Ooze. Plus random mid-range decks like Junt. Field Ramp was played a lot at the beginning of season, but yeah, was as I expected, it was not that good. Prison here is mostly Scepter locked decks. Actually, 24% win rate on Prison is kind of crazy, but yeah. I guess these are not super strong. Maybe need to be refined still. And yeah, this is only like a snapshot of like the decks with 2% of more meta share, but there's like up and coming decks, and there's decks that we still have to discover. One up and coming deck is like the mono black Twilight Nightmare deck, I think it's called. It plays like the Twilight something, the one drop. Actually, did I not? Okay, I didn't show it on the slides, but it's like a one drop that from low win that blights, and you can like surveil and exile a creature card, and then you can replay creature cards exiled with it by removing counters from your stuff. And it also plays like the Chthonian Nightmare and the cards with Undying, like Gerald's Messenger. It's a really cool deck. And there's other stuff that is like being played, like Death Shadow and other decks. But yeah, really, Penny Dreadful is a Brew's Paradise. You can play a lot of different decks. You can brew new decks with all kinds of cards. There's something for every playstyle. There's a lot of cards that are not being played because there's just so many of them that are like interesting. So yeah, this is kind of the end of the presentation, but I do want to note that of course I showed a lot of cards, but I didn't show everything. Maybe I missed something, so you should look at the cards yourself. You can just use Scryfall for that, but also like other tools, I guess. And yeah, I hope you have fun playing Penny Dreadful. Do not forget the PD 500 at the end of season. And yeah, you can watch my other stuff. I will stream a bit in the coming like days or weeks, maybe. There will be more gameplay videos. And yeah, this was it. And I hope you have a good rest of the week.